Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Jose, and these are the G1s by Even Realities. These are brand new smart glasses that have hit the market. They really are an incredible piece of technology. So we're gonna talk all about them, everything that they've got in them, what works in them, what kind of doesn't, and if they're worth your time and money. So let's get into the video. So, as I mentioned in the intro, these are the G1s by Even Realities. It's a brand new company and a brand new product that just got released about a month ago. It's actually not that long at the time of this recording, and you know, they're smart glasses. You know, if you think of like Google Glass, if you think of like the Meta Ray-Bans, these are in a way that they have a screen built into them and they have a few tools to kind of use through that interface, as well as some touchpads in the back that we'll talk about that allow you to interface with said tools. And in terms of said tools, we're talking note-taking, we're talking teleprompter built into them, an AI assistant, it'll give you navigation, and my favorite part, which is translation to, at the moment, 13 different languages. And all of these you can see discreetly without anyone else really being able to see what you're looking at. And, you know, on top of that, you have the usual, you have your date and your time that you can also see, as well as your calendar events, the weather, and even phone notifications when you get them, so texts and emails. You can also scroll through these notifications, which is kind of neat, and there are touchpads on the side of the device that allow you to directly interface, whether it's scrolling through notifications or whether it's pulling up certain tools. It's all built into the glasses themselves. But if you don't want to interface with the touchpads on the side, you don't have to for a lot of this stuff. So if you want to just bring up kind of what I call the home menu, you just tilt your head up, and bam, like it shows it for me. It's about 2 meters across, and I'll kind of show some display so you can see it. But at the moment of recording, it's October 3rd, Thursday. It's 2:34. It's 91 degrees outside, and I have low battery on these things. But I can also see, you know, some notifications. I can write some notes. So if I want to have like a checklist, I don't want to just pull up whenever I tilt my head up and all that good stuff. It's a quick kind of like home interface to allow you to see some stuff. But while the notifications are great and the home interface stuff is cool, let's talk more about the actual apps and technology that's built into these glasses, because that's really the bread and butter of what makes these things great. So first off, we have our quick notes. So our quick notes are just that. They allow you to record some quick notes when you're using the glasses. There's a few ways to kind of put the notes into the glasses to kind of get that information in there. The first way is just, oh, I got a text. Look at that. Yeah. Someone sent me a text. Did you hear about that? Sorry. That's cool, right? Like, and you couldn't see it. Like, you couldn't see that I got that text. But I'm not going to read that out loud because it's my private information. But back on the quick notes section, that was cool. That was not planned. The first way to kind of interface with these is you can go to the companion app on your phone, and there's, you know, a few ways to kind of go about that. But you can click on that app and you can write some stuff down. Cool. What's more cool about that feature, though, is that you can, instead of having to pull up your phone, you can just interface with the glasses directly. So if I, on the right touchpad at the moment, if I hold down, it'll record notes. So it says, quick notes recording, record some notes about this YouTube video because I need to edit it later. And so I release it, and it's now loading. And so it will now be slowly loaded into the glasses as well as the companion app. And even when the companion app is disconnected, the glasses can hold up to, I think it's about 4 notes in them in the internal memory, which is really cool. Now, it is recorded through speech, so kind of keep that in mind, but it's a little weird sometimes in terms of how it records it. If you don't give the app enough info, if you don't give the note program enough info, sometimes it just auto-generates what it thinks you're trying to say. So if I just say notes about potatoes, right? That's all I want to record. But it might elaborate on that and expand on it in the app, and you'll get write notes later about potatoes, which is not originally what I said. Yeah, it's close enough, but it's not exactly what I said. So I don't know if I love that yet. I'm still trying to figure out if I like that AI feature. But if I want to see my most recent note, I just tilt my head up and I can see YouTube video editing notes, record key points and timestamps from the video for later editing. You see, like, that's not what I said. If you want to go back, quick notes recording, record some notes about this YouTube video because I need to edit it later. YouTube video editing notes, record key points and timestamps from the video for later editing. That's not what I said. So that's very interesting because the note tries to kind of improve on you. That's maybe something you like. That's maybe something you don't like. I'm still trying to figure out if I like it. But whatever. But what is nice though is it also records a voice memo of what you said. So in the event that the AI might be a little confusing, you can actually go back and listen to what you said and have it play back, and then go in the app and kind of change notes or do all that stuff. And like I mentioned, you can see your notes in the home app. You can also scroll through them using the touch bars on the side, or you can use the app to hide them. So if you record some stuff but you don't want it showing up all the time, you can just hide it in the app so they're not always present. So the next feature on these things is translation. And to be honest with you, that's like what sold me on these things. That's what I was most excited about when I picked these up. So just to do the translation, you have to go in the app. So you have to pull out your phone at the moment and engage it. But once you engage it, you pick your languages and it just translates. Like it just listens around you. And so you just look forward and you get the translated text and you tilt your head up and then you can get the original text in the original language. So for example, I'm gonna pull up my phone right now and go engage it in Korean. I am currently practicing Korean. I'm not the best at it, but I could say 안녕하세요. Hello. 만나서 반갑습니다. Nice to meet you. Cool. And then I can tilt my head up and I can literally see the Korean text. Now I'm gonna disengage that right now. And so one thing to kind of keep in mind though is it will pick up all the audio, right? So if you're trying to speak in English, it will try to translate that into Korean. So kind of keep that in mind, is it's only really for listening, and you have to ignore what it says when you're trying to speak back, like for example, in English. It's also difficult to use in like loud environments because again, it's just using just microphones to pick up everything. So it'll pick up like loud machinery and stuff like that, and it'll make it difficult for it to translate. And it'll also pick up other people talking. So if you're like at a coffee shop and trying to use this, it might pick up little snippets and stuff, which can make it a little bit difficult, but you can still see, because it's so quick to translate, kind of what parts you might be listening for. Now, I will be honest, the little Korean that I've tried and the more kind of like beginner, intermediate Swedish that I've tried, languages that I am still learning, it doesn't understand beginner speakers that well, in my opinion. Maybe I just have a really bad American accent, I have no idea. But like I mentioned, I tried Korean and Swedish, and the translations weren't always accurate, especially for Swedish. It might be because the certain tone of it isn't as accurate. Like I'm worried, for example, languages like Mandarin, where that enunciation really, really matters, that if you're not super great at that language, that it's not gonna pick it up or it's not gonna be as accurate. But probably the worst part of the translation tool is that the translations cost money. Ugh. Now, this will only happen if you didn't pre-order. I pre-ordered these things. I found them on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, I want to invest in these things. And I pre-ordered them, and so I get all the features, just guaranteed. But if you didn't pre-order, which you probably didn't if you're watching this video, you only get access to what's called basic translation. Now, there's a few downsides with the basic translation. One of the things is that it is slightly slower than the pro translation, and you also can't see the original text if you tilt your head up. So like if you're trying to learn the language and you want to go back and check and see that verbiage and see if you can read it just from what they said, you won't have the ability to do that. Now, it's not a game breaker, like you still get that translation feature, but just in terms of having a subscription model, for me, is really, really upsetting. Like, we're all tired of subscriptions. Like, I know the guys who make this device are tired of subscription. We all hate it. We all want just to buy once, cry once, done. I don't have to worry about it ever again. And to know what this costs, for $5, you get 1 hour translation, but it gets slightly cheaper if you buy more hours. I think it's like $45 for like 10 hours. It's not the greatest, right? And, I think subscriptions are not the way to go, but it's also not necessary if you still want to use translations. What I wish they had was like, hey, you pay $300 and you get access to this feature forever, like a lifetime subscription, whatever it is. And I get that they need to make money, but I don't love that. And we'll talk about other stuff that I don't love about this product. But what doesn't have subscription are the rest of the apps, including navigation. So navigation is pretty simple. You just go into the app and you put in the address, and it just shows you where to go. Now, keep in mind, at the moment, and we'll talk about more of this in the future, but you can only do walking and biking routes. It won't show you driving navigation. You put an address in the app, and the glass will show you where to go. So I put local food restaurants. So I'm looking at right now, it's giving me the time. And if I look straight ahead, it gives me turn left in 753 feet. I'm 52 minutes away, 2.8 miles. It also shows me the route, at least in terms of like a closer view. But if I tilt my head up, It now shows me how quick I am, which 0 kilometers an hour, and it also shows me the full route to get there, so I have a better idea of where I need to go. Now, it's also a little finicky. I've been walking around with it for a bit, and I found that it's not super accurate or inaccurate, but I've heard that they are also trying to improve it, as well as adding, like if you're on a train, like it has that system in place, which I think is super cool. But yeah, keep in mind it's only for biking and walking at the moment, not for driving. Now, next up is the teleprompter. Now, the teleprompter is pretty cool. It's a pretty niche product. It lets you read text on your glasses, just right in front of you, and it will actually scroll as you're reading through the text. So if I say like, hey, I want this screen to be showing this and that, whatever, it'll read through and it'll scroll through the teleprompter as it hears you say those words, which I think is really cool. You can also manually scroll up and down using the touchpads on the side. So maybe if it misheard something or you want to skip a certain line, it'll do that. It'll also pick up if you skip ahead, like in the teleprompter. Like if you're saying one paragraph and then you skip a few lines and you keep going, it'll just go with you, which I think is really cool. To write on the app, you can just go in on the app and then you can write the title, whatever you want, and then you can write your whole script. You can even import text files, like text files straight from your phone into the app. So in case you wrote on your computer, moved it over to your phone, you can just import it straight to the app, which I think is really cool. But if you want to manually write stuff in the app, however, like doing the app interface, keep in mind at the moment that you have to be incredibly careful. If you accidentally press the cancel/back out button as you're writing your script, it won't give you a confirm option. It'll just kick you out of the app. And so that's scary because, and I had it happen as I was writing this video, it won't save any progress, right? If you're 500 words in and you accidentally click cancel, your stuff is gone. And so just be careful whenever you're using the Teleprompter app to write your script. I recommend just doing it in another word processing app and then just moving it over, because you can instantly lose all your work. But it seems like a pretty cool feature. I was going to use it to record this video. My only issue is that if your computer or your camera is really close to you, it makes it difficult to focus in and pretend you're looking at the camera. I think this would be greater for people that are like giving presentations or speeches, or that have their camera equipment way farther away from them, because then it doesn't feel jarring that you're looking past the camera, but not really. It also is more obvious that you're reading the teleprompter the closer the camera is, in my opinion, for these glasses. But it's a niche feature. I'm really glad that they include it. And, you know, I'm not going to complain. It's another tool. So, yeah, that's that. Now, Even AI is the last one on the list. So if you've ever used an AI assistant like Siri, Cortana, Alexa, you get it. But if anything, it's nothing like what those are capable of at the moment. And if anything, it feels like a Siri version 1. It's a little slow. I feel like it fails to answer simple questions sometimes. So for example, one of the issues I had was, let me try it right now. Let me hold it down. So it's not even working. The touchpads are also finicky, and we're gonna get into that in a bit, but it's not, so I'm gonna try that again. If I just hold down the left thing, it should pull up, hey, what's the weather right now? Cool, and I'm gonna let it load, and so it kind of takes a bit to kind of do its stuff. It's a little bit slow sometimes. I don't really love it versus like something like ChatGPT, like Siri. It's still loading. As of the latest information, the weather in my city, oh, cool, it actually showed it. Oh, isn't directly stated in the provided sources. However, if we look at Atlanta, Georgia, which is closest to city, the weather conditions are mostly cloudy at 72 degrees. That is not the temperature in my area at the moment. And so the issue that I'm having is that it doesn't display information correctly. Like, it doesn't know my location most of the time, or it has trouble pulling up information from it. And so that stuff can get really frustrating. So it's not the best. It's also, at the moment, binded to the touchpad. If you hold the left one, that pulls up your AI. I feel like that's kind of wasted. I would have rather had translation or anything else on the side that I could just pull up to enable, Korean or Swedish or whatever. But it's just stuck on that touchpad at the moment. But if we're speaking about the buttons on the side, I think just overall, the design of this product is phenomenal. I really have to give major props to Even Realities and their team for just the size of the product and the shape for what it does. Just chef's kiss. It's the classic kind of panto shape, and my usual everyday wear glasses are that shape. You know, they're pretty similar. So I liked it. I think that fits most faces. And I heard that to make it, they partnered with some like legendary eyewear designers in the industry, which I think was the right move. And I feel like they did get it right. The glasses themselves are made of a few things. They have some kind of silicone in them, the main thing being like magnesium and titanium alloys. But they don't mention, while those are fancy metals, they don't mention what the composition and percentages are of those alloys. It's kind of like the Apple titanium iPhone. It's not 100% titanium, it's only like bits and pieces. And so, but they're cool. They are a hingeless design, meaning that they hopefully will be more durable, but they feel like super duper premium. Which I really like. There's no screws or anything you're worried about falling out. They're a little resistant to like water, like light rain, and like, you know, slight splashes. But I wouldn't take these swimming or jump in a pool with them or just really be out in heavy rain. Yeah, I don't want to break them. But that's what they've been mentioned, is just like light, really light water protection. The glasses themselves have blue light filters through them, as well as some UV protection. You can get them in prescription for nearsightedness, or just get like regular glass if you don't need glasses but you still want something smart on your face. And they use something what's called waveguide technology. So that's pretty cool with these things. It doesn't have like little projectors shooting to the glasses, like to the glass themselves. You can't like block the screen or anything. It actually shoots them through the glass. And from my understanding, a certain part of the prescription is what is actually the screen. And so when it hits that part of the glass, it shows up as what you want to be looking at. And so that's really cool because they're pretty sleek, right? Like, you know, you're not going to see any lights or anything crazy on them. Like, they literally look like regular glasses. And most of the time when people see these things, because you can kind of see a little bit of like the screen where the wavelength is, they don't think it's like a screen. They think it's like a bifocal or something. So they're really, really discreet. The screen themselves can be brightness controlled. I just kind of have them on auto. So if I'm out in a bright sunny day, they get as bright as they can, which against like a clear sky or something, it's hard to see, but against anything like a building or anything, the screen is noticeable and you can read off of it. The glasses themselves in terms of battery will last you about a day and a half of usage, and the charging case, which is what I have here in my hand, will hold an estimated 2 to 2.5 charges in the case. The case itself takes Type-C, and this is the only way to charge the glasses. There's no external ports or anything on them. You have to put the glasses in the case, and they're charged wirelessly using it. Now, one thing really quickly is I don't love leaving the glasses in the case. I don't know if it's just me or if I've been doing something wrong, but the past few times that I've left these in the case on a fully charged case, it seems to drain the battery, because when I pulled these out for a review, which is this video, nothing had battery. The case didn't have any battery, and the glasses didn't have any battery, and so I had to charge them. The glasses actually, they just ran out of battery making this review, recording it. And so don't leave your glasses in the case, even if the case is charged up and your glasses are charged up. Again, I don't know if it's me, but just watch out, because you might have issues with that. And so, okay, so we've talked about kind of what these things do, but what do they cost? Because that's kind of important, right? If these things are $1 million, then it doesn't make sense to buy them regardless. But in total, what I paid for, pre-ordered, I spent $750, and that gave me the prescription lenses, and that also gave me the super nifty sunglasses attachment that came with the whole kit, which is pretty cool. Currently on the website, the glasses go for about $600 with the case, which is pretty cool. And for me, that's cheap. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, for me, that is cheap for like this type of technology. And if you want to add prescription for nearsightedness, it's about $150 to add that on top. And if you want the sunglasses attachment, that'll be an extra $100, really, for this thing. Like, is it made out of gold? Like, I don't know what's going on. And they're cool. Like, look at me. I look dope. Sick. But I don't think this should be worth $100. And then on top of that, if you lose the only method to charge these things, if you lose a super bulky charging case, you will need to fork out $150 to get one of these bad boys. I think these sunglasses clips are just overpriced. They're not worth $100. And if anything, like, I'm really nervous about scratching these things, because they're not flimsy, but they're pure glass. And so I don't want to F these things up and pay that much amount. But the glasses themselves are cheap. And so it's the argument where it's like, okay, I would have paid an extra $300 for these things. I'll be honest with you, like, $600 is cheap. But I don't want to pay $100 for the glasses shade. So it's like, like, how do I justify this? Which again is probably how they're trying to make money. They're trying to say, okay, we're gonna do the buy-in for this product cheap, and then do all the extra stuff, the translation, subscription, and the accessories, make them, expensive. And I don't love that, but should you get these, right? We established roughly you're gonna spend about $600 to $800 on these things. Is it worth it to get these? So quick recap. Number one, it's a really lightweight frame. The glasses are super slick. They're super discreet, great design. And in my opinion, they're the best things out there at the moment in terms of smart eyewear. It's really unintrusive. The hingeless design is beautiful, and the glasses feel like a super premium product. There's also no cameras. I love that. I know some of you are like, oh, I want to document things, but I think the future of eyewear should be, and hopefully will be, non-intrusive. So a little bit about me. I'm a wedding photographer, and so I work with couples directly, and I'm with them in some of their most intimate moments and some of their most vulnerable positions. I don't want cameras on them when I don't want them to be, right? If there's a really intense moment, once I'm done photographing it, I just want to talk to them. And so I don't want to be talking to someone, whether it's out on the street or like at work, and they feel like, oh my God, like I'm being watched all the time because certain like the Meta Ray-Bans have those glasses built into them, the Snapchat spectacles. I don't like that. I like that they don't have glasses. There's also no large company to ruin them, right? We think about like Meta and all that stuff, like just really forcing that ecosystem onto you and making decisions that we might not love, though we'll come back to them in a moment. I like that it's a small startup because then innovation is quick. I mean, they've been getting updates out fast. They've been doing AMAs, which again, we're about to talk about. And I like that it's a small company that can grow and really pick the direction where they want this company to head. So it's got big potential. And for the cost, just the glasses themselves are really great. The translation feature is like, I've been dreaming about that for years. And I'm glad that there's a company now that does hands-free translation without needing to have your phone out to record. The Teleprompter I think is cool. It's a niche product. I'm not going to use it all the time, but I think it's cool. And for those people that might be, let's say, really nervous to order at a drive-thru or to give a speech or a presentation, phenomenal tool to use. I really think that's a great thing to have added to these glasses. Good daily battery life. Like, I know I complained about these things running out recently, but on a full charge, they'll last me the whole day. Like, no problem whatsoever. And yeah, closer to like a day and a half for sure. And they're great at replacing your other devices, like not having to have your phone out all the time to check your text messages, not having to have like a smartwatch on you to look at your notifications. And yeah, it gets you off of that. Like, it lets you just enjoy life and then, oh, I got a text, cool, whatever, and then go back to doing your thing. And there's different colorways, right? I have like the classic black with the black glasses, but they also have green and brown. The brown ones look sick. I wish any of the brown ones were going to look like that, because on the website they don't look anything like they do from user taking photos. And so I wish I could swap these for a brown as well, or just get like brown shades and swap these because I think that looks really slick. Now, here's where we kind of start running into some issues, right? We talked about the good stuff. Let's talk about the not great stuff. First of all, there are some small glitches that, are expected with a company of this size. The first one being kind of display glitches, whether it's like AI or notes randomly saying they're on or off. Sometimes both the displays, because there's two, right? Because it's showing it for both of your eyes. One of them will turn on and then one of them won't, or one of them will display something and then one of them will display something else. And so it's kind of like jarring. Like, it's like, whoa, like, because your eyes are trying to focus on two different things at the same time. It's a little bit straining and it's kind of blurry and it strains your eyes. I've had that while driving, which is really of an issue. You can mute these things, in case you're wondering. Like, you can triple tap on the side and that'll turn them into what's called silent mode, and that just turns off essentially everything in terms of like notifications, and you tilting your head up, that feature will be disabled. You can turn it back on by just clicking 3 times in the back, or going to the app. Oh, hey, you didn't run out of battery, you just glitched out. So that's what I'm talking about, small glitches. Earlier we thought that the glasses were off, but no, it's just that the silent mode was bugging out. So I'm gonna try doing it again. Can I unsilent? No. So small glitches, cool, they activated, sick. Is it gonna show me? Yeah, I thought they ran out of battery. Oh, and so now here's the thing. one of the screens is showing the battery. Okay, now they both are. One of the screens was showing low battery, one of the screens wasn't. And so my eyes are like, whoa. And I've had that happen as I'm driving. You're also not able at the moment to remap any of these buttons. So on the side, right, we have the quick notes. Other side, we have the AI. I wish, again, I could do like translation and navigation, but I can't do that at the moment. The glasses aren't also super comfortable to wear all day. Now, they'll last me all day. But at the end, I kind of feel just a little bit red behind the ears. And part of that is just due to the bulkiness of the touch pads in the back. And they're also not super comfortable to wear with like over the ear headphones, right? Just because the headphones press on that exact space. So it's doable, right? I've used my Sony headphones on them for a while, especially while going to the gym. But they're not as comfortable as something like my super thin current glasses. The charging case is a little large. I wish it was smaller, but I get it. It's got a battery built into it, and it's you know, it's cool. Like, it's magnetic and stuff, and so you can use the magnetic lid, if I can just get it right, cool, to like keep them open. That's cool, and like the design is slick. And like I mentioned earlier, the attached shades are super expensive. If you don't have the glasses on, they're a little difficult to put on, but if you have the glasses on, they're pretty easy, and so I'm not super upset about them. But they are a little bit cumbersome to carry around in terms of like, oh, if you want the shades, you can't really just have just the shades open because you're gonna risk scratching them. Quick editor's note. As I was recording footage for this video, so you could see POV footage of what it looks like to look through these things, I scratched the glasses. You can't really see it, but in here will now forever have a freaking scratch on the shades. And if I want to get a replacement for these little pieces of freaking plastic, I have to pay $100. So no, I'm not going to pay that. They should not be that expensive. Yeah, back to the video. And so then you got to carry the case. And so they're a little cumbersome. But if we're talking about cumbersome, let's talk about the visibility. So this is going to probably be my biggest gripe. And if you saw the thumbnail, you might know what I'm getting into, is visibility. These aren't the best to drive in. And I'll be honest with you, I got into my first ever car accident with these things when I was wearing them. The person in front of me slammed on her brakes, and I was looking at the guy behind me, and then when I looked behind me, also all that information popped up, and I should have been paying more attention, and I should have given the car in front of me a little bit more space. But because I feel like I can't see as well in these, I just felt like I wasn't as aware of my surroundings. I wasn't as aware of the person in front of me that stopped as quickly as I should have been. You know, I feel really comfortable driving with something like a thin pair of these, or I feel really comfortable driving in like my Ray-Ban like Clubmasters, right? Like, I feel good in these. I don't feel great driving with the G1s. So I got into an accident. Everyone was fine. It was a minor fender bender, and it was, 99% my fault. I get it. But that's something to keep in mind too, is the screen shows up, and so just be careful. I do recommend that if you're driving with these things, to just turn off the feature on the side and keep everything on silent, and don't have anything show up, and just have your glass, or just take them off, right? But then you run into the issue of like, okay, well, if I'm gonna drive with these things, well, at the moment, I'm really trying not to. So then I'm going to carry my other glasses. Cool. So then if I'm going to carry my other glasses, I need to have a case for these too. So I can take these off and then have my regular glasses for whenever I'm driving. But what if it's sunny? Because these don't have clip-ons. Okay, so now I either need to carry clip-ons, or now I also need to carry my shades. So then if I'm going to carry my shades, cool. But then remember, I'm still carrying my regular glasses, right, for when I get out of the car. But then what if I get out of the car and it's sunny? So then I also need to carry my shades just in case. So I have all this junk on me for what should have been just one great product. It just makes it really difficult to move around with these things, right? And again, that might be my fault. Like, if you're used to thicker frame glasses, then go for it. But I feel like, man, it's just enough where it's not only that the sides are like, you lose most of your peripheral vision because the sides of these things are so thick near the eyes, but the frames themselves are a little longer. And so if you're looking also peripherals kind of like 45 degrees, I also feel like it's a little bit difficult because your other eye gets blocked by a little bit of the glasses. So again, I'm not gonna say that these were completely at fault for me hitting that poor lady, which is fine, everyone's good. But for me hitting that lady in the car that she had just bought too, for me hitting her and getting into my first car accident, but I feel like they did contribute. I'm not gonna lie to you, and so that's something that I don't love. Just be careful with these things. That's why I was mentioning earlier, they don't have the navigation options for driving, and I don't think they should. I tried it for a bit. I thought it was cool, but they really do get distracting. So just kind of, as a PSA, please just watch out whenever you're driving with these things. If you have them on, either don't wear them or turn off all the functionality and just use the prescription and just be safe. Another thing, going back to the other ugly stuff about these glasses, is the translation subscription feature. I think it's not necessarily that feature is dumb. It's just that, because they got to make their money somehow. It's just that subscriptions in general are dumb. And I'm worried that that's where the company will want to take other features, right? They want to make everything subscription. Please don't do that. Even realities, if you're watching this video, do not add more subscriptions. If this is the only subscription you add, I'll be fine with it. And I'm glad that you can still use the translation with the basic feature, but I don't love that. I still don't love it. And it's hard to recommend this to people, because when I show them the translation feature, they're like, whoa, that's super cool, and I can tilt my head up and see that language. But I tell them, yeah, but you gotta pay for it because it's hourly. And they're like, whoa, okay, I don't love that. And so it's an issue. Another thing in terms of issues is that this company, is a startup, right? I mentioned that I'm excited that this company is brand new and they can choose how they want to innovate, but they also have a potential to fail. And so it's hard to recommend this product to people if they might not be around next year, right? Because then if they're not around, if something happens with the lenses, who's gonna repair them, right? Who's gonna make you new glasses? Because you can't just go to your local Walmart or CVS in their prescription aisle and get wavelength technology that's set to these specs for brand new. And so that's a little scary. And something a little less ugly is that the notification system, if it gets overwhelmed, if you get 10, 20 texts, there's no way to just clear all your notifications because it'll show you every single one. It also shows you the most recent one first. So it'll show you the first text and then it'll go backwards. Some people like that, some people don't. But yeah, there's no way to get rid of your text. You have to scroll through every single one, and it can be a little bit slow. I don't love that. The touchpads themselves are also really finicky. I think you saw that earlier. Like it's like a little notch, and if I press on it, it works. But I can also try sliding. But sometimes if I press, it doesn't work. Sometimes sliding doesn't work. I wish they were like a clicky feature, or I wish they were just straight touchpad, or I wish they were in the front. I think if they were in the front, they would also be like less intrusive for me to kind of go through them. And it wouldn't be as like, oh, like what I'm like this looks like I'm doing something. This doesn't, right? Like this looks like I can play it off a little bit better. So I would have preferred that they were a flat touch and closer to the front of the lenses. I've heard they're also difficult to use with long hair, right? Like if you have hair that's going over your ears, you got to get in there, and maybe the hair might cover the glasses and might make it difficult for the touch sensors to read it. It's very buggy for some people, whether that's with the device itself or like the charging case. There's been a few issues in terms of like getting solid connection when these are put in the case. Because it's a wireless charging system, you got to make sure that it sits properly. So if you don't, let's say you go to bed, you wake up the next day, they don't have any battery. And so it ends up being like slightly of a risky investment. But that's it for the ugly stuff, in case you were wondering. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about is a recent AMA that Even Realities did that gives you a pretty good insight into the company and kind of the direction that they're trying to head in and looking at. If you want to look at the whole thread yourself, I'll leave a link down in the description to the Reddit post that has all that info. But just touching on a few points that they mentioned, they are planning to release an SDK or an API for you developers to allow you to do custom apps. So if you want to do stuff like a timer, right? Because they don't have a timer, or anything like that, I think that's really cool. And they are planning on doing that. They're also planning on just having other ways for developers to have extensions or to improve on the product themselves if you want to do it. They're trying to change as well the font. I think the font is really slick. Like I think the retro feel is perfect, but if you're wondering about that, they are planning on changing it. Though there are no current plans to add right to left languages like Hebrew or Arabic. So those languages that are read the other way, just by the design of their code, they aren't planning to have that supported. So just keep that in mind if you're wondering about using that for those languages, and in terms of the translation, you won't have the option to. Another thing is they are planning to remap the touch bars to certain functions, right? So I mentioned like I want translation on one of these. They are planning on doing that. They're going to try it out and see, but no promises yet. And one of the things that someone mentioned too was that these glasses are interesting for deaf people, which I just wanted to bring that up in AMA because you can see the translation. What if you just have it translate to English, to the language you're already speaking, and it will just read it and it'll show you what people are saying. So that stuff is very interesting. I actually really like that. And so they brought that up in the AMA, someone did, and so I wanted to mention that start thinking about new ways to use these things, because I think augmented reality is the future. But speaking about the future, the last point I want to touch on is Meta Orion. So for those of you that don't know, Meta Orion was a project recently announced by Meta / Facebook company. Mark Zuckerberg talked about and showed off a new set of augmented reality glasses that they're working and testing internally at Meta. Now, these are way more advanced than these suckers right here. Full augmented reality built into them in the same way that kind of Apple's Vision Pro does, just in a much smaller package. Now, these aren't in production yet, right? They're still being internally tested, because one of the things Mark was saying in his talk was that he wants to make them even smaller. He wants to make them look just like regular eyewear. And so he's not going to release these things until they look probably like this. But they're going to have a lot more functionality. They're going to be supported by a larger company that is less likely to fail. They have built-in screens and audio and all that stuff. And from what I saw, they're also going to not have cameras on them, but that can obviously change depending on the production model. They also have other options that they showcase, such as a band or a remote to control these without having to stick your hands up and use the buttons. Now, I'm mentioning this as a warning to Even Realities, and just to the augmented reality space in general. If you don't innovate with your product fast enough, Meta will eat you alive. I mean, that is the biggest company in the world outside of Apple. They have the money to innovate and innovate quickly. So I think where Even Realities has the advantage is they have a head start. They have a product out there. They just need to have more people use it, have more people like it and buy it, and just be a name in the competition to really secure a foothold, in the same way that the Snapchat spectacles and Google Glass, even from all those years ago, made a name for themselves, even though they haven't produced glasses in years. And so if Even Realities does not innovate fast enough, they will lose. And Meta has a lot more money to advertise. They can pay a lot more people to publish reviews about these things. They have a lot more leverage and a lot more people that will get eyes on these things. And so then no one will care about the G1s, And so you have to have people care about these things now. I think speed is of the essence here when it comes to these glasses. I really want this company to succeed. I won't lie to you. I want them to sell 1 billion products and make a buttload of money, so that way they can innovate even more, and then they can have a reason to keep making these things and create new versions. And I'm not sponsored, by the way. There's no referral program. They didn't pay me anything to do this. Even Realities does not know I'm making this review video. It really is from just using these almost daily and using this in my work environment. I like that as I'm shooting weddings, I can see texts and notifications without having to look at my watch or pull out my phone, because that's disrespectful. That's what's great about these things, is they allow me to keep in touch with other vendors or my team or just people that I need to know about without seeming disrespectful of, oh, how much longer do we have? Or, oh, let me pull out my phone. Especially on a wedding day, right? Or what if you're on a sales team and you're talking to a big client, or you're in a big meeting? You just can't. And people get it. They get that you have smart equipment, and it's not the same issue as it was 5-10 years ago where you seem disrespectful. But these are slick, and so I think they really do have a future. And in closing thoughts, I think you should buy these. I really do. I think they are just a beautiful product. I think they're very well made. Yes, they have some bugs. Yes, they have some glitches. And there are some things that you just probably shouldn't do with them, like driving. But I really think they're great. And I think if you wear eyewear, you'll know that they're not that expensive from regular eyewear. And they're hip and they're cool and they look great and they allow you just so much more capabilities than your regular current frame. So that's going to be it for this video. I don't really have anything else to say about these things, but I'm using them daily, as well as I'm seeing that they're constantly trying to update these things with new firmware and stuff. But if you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section. I love to chat everything and anything about these glasses. And as I'm kind of using these more and more, if any big major changes happen, I will update these things and update you guys in a follow-up video. But that's going to be it for today. I hope you got everything you need out of deciding whether you want to buy one of these or not, or just looking to see what's in the augmented reality market. Again, my name is Jose. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next time. Peace.